In 2006, a dynamic dance duo formed to take on the world. This Anglo-Australian partnership promptly traveled the globe, learning from the masters of dance. If no one else has the answers, and if you can find them, maybe you should get in touch with Dizzy Feet.
If you've got the questions,
we've got the answers. Good evening, everybody. Here we are. Slightly out of focus.
we are really out of focus.
Slightly out of focus again.
Oh, I missed it again. Ella's little hair flick.
So, hello everyone. Hope you're all okay this Friday the 5th of February 2021. Still locked in our homes. At least we've got a little fire going on in the background.
Multicoloured one.
Yeah.
Flames.
Yes. So it's good evening from me, and it's
Good evening from him.
yes. You're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning. Yeah, you're learning.
Get there eventually.
You will. You will. I'm just going to adjust the camera.
Okay,
slightly.
because it's very, very
Yeah,
grainy.
and also, well, it's grainy because of the light, and that's better. We look a bit more central.
All right.
Still out of focus, aren't we?
That's probably because of the light as well, because I told you it was too bright.
I might next week try and hook up the other camera.
What other camera?
You know, the one I do on a Wednesday night.
Oh, what, the main camera?
Yeah, I might try and hook that up,
Oh,
because then it'll be beautiful.
dear.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so no one said anything to us yet.
Good evening.
No one said good evening or anything. It's almost as though they're
Come on, Margaret.
not there.
She said, I'm sure we'll think of something to say when you start talking.
Well, we're talking and they haven't said anything yet.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to this week? Well, not a lot really.
No,
Not a lot.
you went for a long run, didn't
Started, yeah. Well, Kelly got a cracked windscreen,
you? Yeah, my car.
so we had
Exciting,
to.
I had to go out.
Yeah, so I had to drop it down to Hedge End. There we go. Yes.
But it's difficult, so we've got dog and child at home. It's difficult to
doing
get.
the online learning. So I drove it all the way to Hedge End and ran home.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very much. It took me 50 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite exciting because we had to go somewhere. Didn't
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went somewhere first, and then
And then I
we all
went
dropped
somewhere.
you off very quickly in between online lessons,
Yeah.
and then we sped off.
And then I came
Made
home.
it back in time,
That's about
literally a
as
minute.
Exciting as it got.
Yes. Put another shilling in the meter. What, for the out of focus camera? Alan?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We are here. Love the intro. Good evening all. Hello Hungry Hawks. Hello Roz. Hello Team Brighton.
Team Brighton.
Which is Sarah. How is Buddy getting on with online learning? Well, he's not very well really. He's some things he's doing quite well with, but then other times he's regressing slightly, isn't he? And
Yeah,
going back to old habits of pooing on the curtains.
It's a bit up and down with Buddy, but hopefully we'll get that sorted soon. I've had an issue with beds with him.
Okay,
He's
to
had
continue.
2 beds, both
Right,
of which
yes.
he weed on repeatedly. So I took that as he doesn't like them. I've given him an old box that we had. It's an old wine box with a pillow in it and a blanket, and he seems quite happy in that. And I'm just like, it doesn't seem that comfortable really,
But he loves sleeping on the wooden floor, doesn't
he
he?
does. He'll happily sleep on the wooden floor or under the sofa, but not on any dog bed that I give him.
Yeah, it's very strange.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Hello,
That's
Linda.
what's going on.
Alan Pearson.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Julie. Hello,
Hello,
Claire.
Mother.
I think I've already said that to
Julie.
some other people.
Claire.
Brecon Beacons.
Keep watching all the dancing in the intro. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are live, Lou.
We are live now, yeah.
Yeah.
But
maybe
of
you've
course there is a delay
Yeah.
usually with most people's streams.
Sometimes it varies as well. Some people's streams can be 5 minutes behind. Some
Yeah.
people's can be 30 seconds.
So I play it on my phone here and it's about 25-second delay.
Mm.
So whatever we're saying now, I'll see in about 25 seconds. That's how it comes up. So I don't know, maybe the further away you are, the bigger the delay. I don't know. We need to sprinkle some white
Pepper,
pepper on what?
where he poos. That'll stop him from finding the previous scent.
Mm.
I think we should have sprinkled pepper on his face
That would be quite funny. I should have.
when he does a poo. He'll soon learn, won't he? He'll soon learn.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about him.
We could give it a try. I mean, he is still young. He's just gone 4 months, and he has had some successes, hasn't he? Where he's gone to the
He has. Yeah.
to the mats. They're the little puppy pads. We need to take him outside. I know that's the quickest way to get them to do it, but our outdoor area is not set up, and there was an issue with his vaccinations, so I have to take him again.
Yes.
Taking him on Tuesday, and then it'll be another 4 weeks before he can go outside when it's wet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a palaver, really.
Yes. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I think that'll be easy when he goes outside.
Yeah. We could leave him outside, couldn't we?
No, you're supposed to be out there with
No,
them
I
to
mean,
train them.
at night and stuff, leave him out there. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
I don't
It'd be
think
great.
so.
He would no longer be a white, fluffy dog, though, would he?
No.
He definitely wouldn't be white anymore.
No, we need some grass. We need some grass.
Take him back for a refund, Linda. Yeah, I have actually said that.
Oh, you actually said what would she say if we just took him, gave him
Yeah,
back?
just gave him back. Yeah. Margaret's going to the vets tomorrow as well. Do they stick it in your bottom, Margaret, when you go to the vets for your vaccination?
Oh dear.
Yeah, no, so we're not taking him for a refund anyway. So, thank you, Sarah. Sarah says your videos are great. We will all be pros after the lockdown. That's perhaps wishful thinking, but thank you. We've got another one in store for
Pros in
tonight.
knowledge.
Well, yes.
What you remember.
Yeah.
I still realise that I forget things. Yeah. Why have you got a Chris Evans t-shirt on?
That isn't Chris Evans, that is me, Alan. That is me on the t-shirt. These are available, however, this is the prototype and I'm going to change the design because this doesn't work too well because there's too much.
It
It's
cracks,
too much.
doesn't it?
Yeah, so I need to have them individual faces. I'm thinking about just doing one face with one thing underneath. Chris Evans. Chris Evans is a ginger. Not that there's anything wrong with gingers.
I look really ginger tonight.
You do look very gingery. Yeah.
It's all my natural locks coming through.
Yes. I wonder if anyone will do research into which students learn most effectively online, although it's all about enjoying dancing and being in the moment. Now, Janet, I was joking. There's no way I'd leave him outside. Absolutely not.
No. James was definitely joking about that.
Yeah, there's no way. No way I'm leaving him outside. He's a house dog. He's a house dog.
Yeah.
For sure. Sarah says about learning effectiveness of learning online. Well, personally, I don't think that you can really learn online. I'm doing ourselves our business here.
Well, not ultimately.
Not really, because what we do is a physical thing,
You
and
can
it needs
learn-
interaction. And yeah, no, you got to do it.
You
in
can
flesh.
learn the odd thing, but you won't learn everything necessarily. You
No.
won't develop.
No, and also you can't do it in a lounge, can you, or a dining room or something
I mean,
like that.
you have to be practicing it somewhere,
Mm.
and you need space to do it in, don't you? I mean, even Latin needs space at the end of the day, doesn't it? You know,
It does.
you can only do so much on the spot. So all kinds of dance, I think, ultimately need a bit of space, and really, yes, you have to understand the theory, but the theory takes a long time to get into the physical. The physical is the thing that is repetition. So the only
more-
way to get better is practicing.
The more you do it, the
Ultimately.
better you get.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Simple
Yeah.
as that. Alan says, I look ginger on the film. Look.
Well,
this
I'm
is,
ginger.
I am not in the slightest. Well, I suppose a little
I
bit in
think-
front there, but no, I'm not ginger.
Maybe you get a pink glow from your light every now and then. I don't know.
Cheek.
Or maybe
not
it's
ginge.
it's reflecting off of me onto you.
Perhaps. We were only discussing last night, weren't we, that you're going to go back blonde when you're allowed in the hairdressers again.
Yeah.
I could do it. We could just get some bleach.
I'm not trusting
Could have
you.
a go, couldn't
with
we?
it. I'm not trusting
Could
you.
have a go.
With it. No.
I could dunk your head in the toilets after we've had it cleaned. No, perhaps not. Perhaps not. We should probably talk about dancing.
Any suggestion for friction burn to the toes? Ooh.
Just keep doing it and then you won't get the pain. You put up a resistance. I know that sounds really, really harsh, but it's true.
Yeah, well, you can try and protect your toes with plasters and things like that. Some people wear tights, or the little sock things.
Pop
that-
socks.
Yeah, for the thin pop sock things that look like tights.
Pop socks.
I don't know. I never did that.
Pop socks.
All right, fine. Those things to
Yeah,
protect
pop
their feet.
socks.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid I had plasters on all the time. And do you know what I used to do? I used to get methylated spirits, put it on some cotton wool and rub that on my feet because it would toughen up the skin. So, yeah, that might be something you could try if you get blisters all the time. It works.
Yeah.
It stings if you've got blisters. Oh my gosh, it stings. But there you go. Cleans it up.
Sockets. Pop socks.
Does Kelly have a t-shirt with her face on? No.
No, she
I
doesn't.
wouldn't allow it.
No. Yeah. Sigrid wants to know why you don't like your natural hair colour. Her natural
I don't
hair
know.
colour was
Well, it's that.
lovely,
yes.
but it's gone a little dull, hasn't it?
Well, I think I'm getting older, and I don't think it's as nice as it was when I was younger. Perhaps.
It's not, when you were young, it was very vivid, wasn't it?
No, not really.
Well, the pictures look very vivid. It's
I
quite
did used to
auburn.
have a henna shampoo though. That used to
Ah,
make
so it was lies.
No, it was like this, but probably a bit brighter. And I just think now it's a bit more dull. So probably because of going grey, to be honest. So if I'm going to go grey, I might as well go blonde.
Well, yes. I seem to have stopped going grey.
I think with anything like that, it sort of you have a bit of momentum and then it halts for a little while and then you get a bit more, don't you? Later on, I think that's how it goes. How
Yeah.
it progresses.
Yeah. Now, Sarah Ball, there are websites out there about meeting fellow dancers to practice with and that sort of thing. However, I think it's a really difficult one because of the finding the right people to dance with. I think it's really difficult. It's really difficult
Yeah,
because it can
there's
turn
websites.
into something other than a dance partner website, and that's not what you're after, really, is it? It's not what you're after.
Yeah, but that's like the dating sites and things like that as well, where they say, oh, these people are only looking for love, proper love, and then you think, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
It's
Yeah,
lies.
It's difficult. Yeah.
So, how can I say I'm old? Well,
Older than
I'm
she was yesterday.
older.
You're older than you were yesterday. That's a
Um,
fact.
I don't mean that I'm old, but yeah, I'm older, and yeah, I don't think now that I can see my natural colour coming through, I don't think it's quite what I'd like it to be. So yeah.
Alan says vinegar on finger ends helps for guitar players,
Oh,
so
there
it
you
might
go.
help for people dancing. Stick your
Vinegar.
fingers in vinegar. Ooh. Might make
You
them
mean
smell even
feet?
worse. What did I say?
You said fingers.
Did I?
Yeah, fingers for guitars, feet
Yeah,
for dancing.
fingers for,
That's it.
for guitars, feet for dancing.
Try methylated spirits. Rub it on there.
Yeah,
It stinks.
Strictly Come Tinder. Now that's
Strictly oh no.
that's not a bad name for a website, is it? Yeah. The thing is with the partner search, it's generally centered around competitive dancing. I think.
Yeah.
I'll have a little look, see what I can find, Sarah. But I know that a friend of mine has just recently set up a new website for dancing, and that may well have a social dancing partner section. I'll clarify. If it hasn't, I'll get him to add it. I had to do a video about it as well. I had to record a video for you. Don't know I've done. Oh, I've done that. I did that last week. But it's a surprise.
You didn't tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. A pulse, legs that move, and a bit of enthusiasm will do. Well,
you'd be surprised.
Yeah. There are a lot more single ladies looking to dance than there are single men. And a lot of the single ladies are just looking to dance. The single men that are looking to dance are not just looking to dance. There we go, I've said it. And that's unfortunately a bit of truth, really.
Yeah.
Really, that's the trouble.
Yeah, it might be a generalisation, but yeah. But you're right. I mean, I think in all those sort of things, it would be nice if actually they were just for everyone knew where they stood and didn't have to worry about.
Well, at the moment we do. We're behind the lines.
Well, I know.
Or in between the lines.
In
Or on the spots.
Should we blur that?
On the footwork. On the foot placements on the floor. That's what we got to stand.
Ah, I see where you're getting at now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, it took you a little while, didn't it? Took you a little while. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Now,
so we've got any other dance-related
dance-related stuff would be nice. How have you been enjoying these little workshop videos?
Thanks, Uncle James.
You're welcome, Sarah. Any time. If they don't want to dance, shove them in the cupboard. Well.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could try punishment.
Matteo says he wants to dance with you.
With me?
Yeah. Well.
What, Ballroom or Latin?
It would, Matteo. It would cost. I mean, there's a charge applied. There'd be a charge for that. Oh, I'm sure, Alan. I'm sure Argentine tango is a hotbed.
Yeah. I can imagine, actually. Well, actually, we've heard.
Yes, we have. And it's put some people off.
Yeah. I think whatever you do in dancing, if you're social dancing and stuff, and you come across awkward situations, you've just got to be really direct and in a polite way, I suppose, and let people know that what you're there for. I don't know. I haven't had. Fortunately, I've not experienced it because I've only ever danced with a partner for competitions. So it's hard, really, to say what you should and shouldn't do. I can't really advise in that situation. 10 dancers.
Matteo wants to do 10 dances with you. 10 foxtrots, then. How's that?
Or 10 hokey cokies.
What about Nelly the Elephant? That's better. Do you know the song? Do you know that one, Kel?
No, I don't, but I know of it.
Nelly the Elephant.
Yeah.
She packed her trunk and trundled off to the circus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
off
the
she
circus.
went with a trumpety trump.
We've got a circus dog now, haven't we? So
we have.
A circus.
All right, Alan. That's enough of that filth.
A vertical expression.
That's the rumba. Not the Argentine tango. I think the rumba's a vertical expression of horizontal desire.
Workshops are great learning.
Good.
That's good.
Well, I need an idea of what to do tomorrow because
We enjoy the Wednesday class, a nice mixture of steps and technique. Good.
I need an idea of what to do for them tomorrow.
What have they got in store for tonight?
They have got Rise and Fall this evening.
Oh, that will be
which I'll be putting on in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So I need an idea.
Great to get up and move a bit. Yeah, we've all spent a lot of time on the sofa watching telly. Although this week I have been really productive. I did a clear out of my wardrobe.
Yes.
And I did a clear out of my drawers with, skincare and makeup and all that sort of thing as well. So I'm very pleased with myself. I recommend it because I have been feeling really, really low with everything, and it has made me feel a little bit better. And it's inspired me to then want to do other things, like look after myself better, because I really, really stopped bothering over this whole process. So, yeah.
Kelly cleared out her wardrobe and found the chair that she sat on.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you've got Ella's chair.
Yeah, that's a different chair.
It's a different chair. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
a chair just appeared.
I found a little chair. It's a lovely little chair. It's like a little French chair that I picked up in a second-hand shop.
Goodness knows when. I've never seen it before in my life.
Because I came home, I had nowhere to put. I just liked it. You know when you see something and you just like it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I just wanted it. I thought it would be nice in Ella's room, which actually that's where it is now. It does look nice in her room. I might recover it. But yeah. Oh, thank you, Ross. Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
I pulled a chair out of the wardrobe and James said, "Where'd that come from?" He was most surprised.
Yeah. I was waiting for a lion to come out of it as well.
It'd be
Maybe
a
a
good
witch.
sketch, be a good comedy sketch, wouldn't it? Be like elephant and piano and
Anyway, arms. Arms. I'm going to do something about arms and the frame. I noticed, Alan, you've mentioned about frame, and posture. Well, I'm waiting until Kelly's comfortable to get in front of the camera to do that, and we're going to do a thing on arms and frame.
Okay.
However,
Could be wild.
posture, Alan, I did last week, so that's online. You can watch
Have
that.
we got a year to get that video out?
No,
Yeah, a year.
no chance. Do you know what you could do?
What?
You could do a little one on makeup.
Yeah, I could do. I did think about that.
Yeah, dance makeup.
Dance
so
makeup?
social dance makeup and then competition makeup, maybe.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about, because for those that don't know, I did do a course, a professional course in makeup artistry. And of course, I've had lots and lots of experience with makeup, doing competitions. So, I was thinking about, I've got all this product, which, some of it I'm going to get through myself, but really I've got too much. So I was going to use it to kind of put together some little helpful tips with makeup. Not just like how to put it on, but even just buying the makeup and things like that, because I think a lot of people get hoodwinked into buying things that aren't really suitable for them. So I might talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, then we can do that next week, can't we?
Would love to learn about makeup. Good, yeah, I do that. And I can do a little dance tutorial, perhaps just of a basic idea about makeup, and then, how to take it from there. I think some dance makeup, personally, it's very personal, is way over the top, but it all depends on the overall look that you're putting together. If you're dancing both ballroom and Latin, then you have to bear both of those looks in mind. If you're just doing one, then it's easier to style it, perhaps. But I think, you have to be careful, because it can go a bit much. I mean, there's YouTubers and stuff, Instagrammers that do all this, contouring and stuff like that. And in dancing, yes, that is useful to a degree, but you do have to be careful with it, because it can go really wrong.
Contouring.
Yeah, contouring.
That makes me think of sculpting. Of some
It is
description.
sculpting. It's
like
sculpting
you put
all
on
your
layers and layers of makeup, and then
contouring. It's about sculpting your features. So it's about making some parts of your face come out further, like cheekbones, so things like that. Yeah.
the comments have disappeared off of Facebook there for some reason. But
Anyway,
Sigrid Sigrid wants to know if you'll be using me as a model.
I can do men's makeup. Actually, when I did it, I was desperate to do your face, wasn't I? Because something that's a really big thing is making makeup look like skin. That is the big thing you want to try and achieve, so that it doesn't actually look like you're wearing makeup. That's a big thing. But that is why, and you mustn't be fooled, most of the models that you see advertising makeup are all about 16, because they have perfect skin at that age, if they haven't, got acne and things like that going on. But, you get really, really young models, maybe not 16, maybe 17, 18, 20 or something, when they're past that stage. But, yeah, you mustn't be fooled by the advertising, because they use people that, have perfect skin. So it's really easy to do makeup on people with perfect skin. There you go.
Are you trying to then say that I haven't got perfect skin?
You've got very good skin, but it's not perfect. You are of an age where there's little lines and things, isn't there? But you've got very good skin.
Thanks very much. I do have a good skincare routine.
You do, but I think, we could do some other things to make it better. The key to good makeup is good skincare. That's where it starts. Anyway, I'll save that for the videos. If I talk too much, I'll be telling you too much now.
Motivator says, along with arms, can you give tips on improving coordination? Margaret, we're only dance teachers.
Improving
We're not psychologists or
coordination.
psychotherapists. To improve coordination. What do you mean by finesse, Ros? You said how to finesse. How about it? I'm not entirely sure what you mean about that.
How to finesse.
And Hungry Hawks, I haven't done anything about flight as such yet. I think we will. I might do that. I haven't done it yet. I talked a little bit about it in the Rise and Fall video that's coming in a moment. Is Alan Pearson winding me up?
Probably. Why?
He says, how about the difference in footwork between dancers? Heel leads, ball flat, toe, etc. I've done that as well.
You've done that. Have you not watched any of the videos?
I've done the footwork.
Alan?
I've done posture.
It's all there.
We started with sway. Then we did footwork. Then we did posture. And tonight you've got rise and fall. And I'm going to put it on now because I'm cross.
You've wound him up.
He's wound. Oh,
look at the steam.
I'm triggered.
Look at the steam.
Oh, he did say earlier.
Yes.
About we won't mention the football. No, we won't mention the football.
No, didn't do very well, did they? Shocker. Even I'm saying that. Even I took an interest. I said to James, why is that so bad? Why?
Shocking again. Yeah.
I don't take any interest in football typically, but you like it if I do, don't you?
Yeah, I do like it. Yeah. Right, should we put this video on for them?
I think so.
Let's put this video on for them, and then we'll come back and we'll have another little chat.
Cool. I like the idea of coordination and finesse.
Yeah.
That could be. You could do it almost a comedic.
Not sure.
I'm
Not
joking.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm joking.
yeah, I know. Okay, let me have a think. But
Like
so far, nothing. Yeah.
Oh, this is what she thought.
Yeah, no, the
beards,
check the
nails.
beard. Check your hair, check your beard, check your nails, that sort of stuff. That'll go in with the arms. Because you've got to have a. If you're going to put your arms out and do something with your arms in Latin, you've got to know the journey of that arm, where it's going to start, what it's going to pass through or past into its final position. You can be quiet, Peter. You know exactly what you're talking about.
Football.
You know exactly what we're talking about. But I can block people.
Number 9.
Oh,
number
shush.
9. Even I'm joining in on
Shush.
poking fun at you.
It's not fair. I had a sleepless night.
9-0, wasn't it?
Shut up, woman.
Sorry.
For goodness sake.
Sorry.
Right.
I think you're going to get a video now.
I'm going to get the video on now.
What's it called?
Rise and Fall, Kelly.
I've forgotten.
Rise and Fall. So we'll put the video on now. Enjoy it. Hope you like it. And we'll see you in half an hour and we'll continue this nonsensical debate. If there's any questions on the video you want to ask afterwards, please do. And then if there's anything else you've got any ideas about you'd like me to do next week, please let me know. I've taken on board everything you've said, but I can't do the arms and the frame until she's ready to get in front of the camera. Makeup, I don't think she won't be able to do it tomorrow. She'll have to do it the week after. Finesse comes with the arms.
Makeup might take me a little bit of planning as well.
Yeah, so I need something else. I need another topic for tomorrow, an easy topic. Otherwise, I'll just come up with something myself again. Anyway, see you in a bit. Enjoy this thing I prepared earlier. So hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 of Learn in 30. And today I'm going to be talking about rise and fall. Rise and fall is pretty synonymous with ballroom dancing. It's not something that we normally or should or typically have in Latin American. If you think of Latin American dancing, it's generally pretty flat across the floor. Apart from samba, which does have what's called a samba bounce, but you wouldn't necessarily call that a rise and a fall in the same way you would talk about it in ballroom. So this video is going to be primarily based all around the ballroom dances. Each dance has its own interpretation, let's say, of rise and fall. Whilst the actions that you do in your bodies might be similar, the outcome and the effect will be slightly different. I like to think of each ballroom dance to have its own waveform to visually depict the rise and fall in that dance. And I find that this is a great way to just instantly look at something and then think, oh yeah, that's how it's supposed to be danced. That's the visual thing that I'm trying to portray or represent. So if you think of a waltz, so a waltz has got 3 beats in the bar of music, and normally you would find that you've got the most rise and fall in a waltz, because as you dance the waltz, you've got deep lowering, and then you've got high peaks as well as you go up on your toes. Foxtrot is pretty flat, however you do go up and down on your toes. Foxtrot rise and fall through the feet is still there. You're still going to use your feet in the same way as you would in waltz, perhaps just not as much, but you're using the sides of your body slightly differently with sway and rotation to produce a different look. And then quick step is very similar to the waltz, however it's not as deep.
or as high necessarily because of the speed. Tango's flatlined, so there's absolutely no rise and fall in the tango. And Viennese waltz has an interesting usage of rise and fall, and I'll talk about that separately at the end anyway as well. So if we were to look at the waltz rise and fall to start with, the waveform that we would have there, it starts at flat here, and then it will peak up, and then it will sharply come down. So that's the idea of that. So it peaks up, and then it sharply comes down, and that depicts the movement on the 1, then you're swinging up on 2 and 3, and then you're lowering, ready to start again. So it goes up strongly and then comes down. Foxtrot is much more shallow with its rise and fall in terms of a wave form, and it's like a nice calm water that you would perhaps see maybe somewhere in the South Pacific when there's no hurricanes or typhoons and that sort of thing. So a very smooth, lovely little lilting little bit of rise and fall. So quick step, very similar to the waltz, but not as high and not as low. So it would be up and down at regular intervals through the bass actions, of course. When you've got hop, skips and jumps, rise and fall is going to be a little bit different and not so easy to depict on a waveform. Tango, as I said, flatline, so it's dead straight. No rise, no fall at all. Viennese waltz I'll talk about at the end. So, rise and fall as a waveform, great, easy, that's super, isn't it? But that, of course, you can't then take that waveform and then instantly transport that into your bodies. How do you then put it into your bodies? And of course, what is rise and fall? So rise and fall is measured at its most basic level in the feet. And we go up on our toes by pushing down to the floor, which releases our heels. Our body weight comes forward a little bit to allow our heels to be released. And then we lower back down to earth again when our heels touch the floor. So footwork in its most basic form, at the very, very lowest level, is simply going up on your toes and then lowering back down onto the earth again. So you're just going up on your toes and then you're coming back down. That's it. So that is commonplace through all of the dances. So when you first learn to dance, you're either going to be on a flat foot or up on your toes, and then you come back down again. If you watch episode 2 of my Learning in 30, that talks about footwork, of course, and so that corresponds, so rise and fall corresponds directly to footwork, essentially, at the base level. Now, when we do the waltz, because we're looking at the waltz at the moment, how do you then achieve the rise and fall? Because it's very easy just to do this, of course, that's when you're standing still, but we don't stand still when we dance. We're moving, aren't we, forward and backwards. So when we move forwards, the way you create rise without any effort, it's amazing this, we have to use a little bit of what's called body flight. Now, if you allow yourself to fall forwards, maybe have someone there to hold you, or a wall or something, or a chair just in case you do slip and fall. If you can do this, you can get up and have a go. If you allow your body weight to fall forward outside of what we call your base of support, your base of support is a circle drawn around your feet. The bigger your base of support, by the way, the more balanced you are. So I'm much more balanced like this, with my center of gravity lower, my feet nice and wide, than I am like this. It's easy to fall off balance when your base of support is very small. Anyway, another topic. So if you allow your weight to fall out of your base of support, it naturally releases your heels off the floor. And so you are already producing an element of rise without trying too hard. Now, when we want to move off the spot, that's the best way to produce an element of rise, where we just let our weight go through our foot, and then it peels our heels off the floor, and then without even trying too hard, I'm on 2 toes and I can close, and there's the beginning of a bit of natural turning waltz, or the last 4, 5, 6 as a lady. So rise is relatively easy if your feet are working in the correct manner. So all that is, so it's a little exercise. You can allow yourself to fall forwards. You'll feel your toes gripping a little bit when you don't move. So if you fall forwards, your heels will come off the floor. That's producing a bit of body flight. And then you can then step forward onto a heel in this instance, because we're going to do a heel lead. And then you keep that going, your body weight going, and it peels the heel off the floor. And then you step to the side and you can close your feet, and you've done a little bit of natural turn there. That, of course, is very simplistic. That's very shallow as well. We call it shallow. So that's producing rise. So rise is created when you allow your body weight to fall outside of your base of support. That sounds like a lot of words. So when you let your body fall forwards, your heels should come off the floor. So when we're doing a bit of basic waltz, if you're moving forwards, your weight goes first, it pulls your heel off the floor, and then there's the left foot here just swings into position and catches my weight, and I'm on 2 toes. That is rise and fall when you're moving freely forwards, okay? You can, of course, as I did at the very beginning, you can just produce static rise, like that, where you just go up on your toes, and then you lower back down again. We don't have that very often, actually, so there are a few figures like that. So just to give you an example, as a man, you can have what's called a reverse corte, where the man does a heel turn and then goes up on his toes, like that. That's called a reverse corte. We've got a bit of static rise there. Doesn't happen very often though. So normally in waltz, of course, we're constantly moving. We're moving through the figures, which is why I believe that waltz is pretty difficult, because you have your deepest lows in waltz and your biggest highs in waltz, plus lots of turns. So there's an awful lot to do. It's quite tricky to do a beautiful waltz. So in the simple way, that's the rise. So, and normally you'll always have rise on number 2. So if you think of footwork, you'll always have a toe on 2, which means that you'll have risen. So, and going back to the footwork lecture that I did before as well. So if you've got a toe on 2, that means the step before that will be a heel toe or a toe, but in the waltz context, you generally always do a heel on 1. So you've done a heel toe, so there's your body weight releasing out of your foot, releases the heel, swing to the side on 2, and then we close our feet. So in the waltz we have a thing called gradual rise, and that is when you are rising over a number of steps. So if we use the basic 1, 2, 3 natural turn in waltz, this will be the 4, 5, 6 if you're dancing as a lady. So you go forward on that first step, on the number 1, and you're going to start to rise at the end of that first step. And that's when your body weight has passed through your base of support and your heel is beginning to release. So your body weight peels your heel off the floor. There you are, starting to rise. And then you continue rising on the second step, because we're still going up here. And then you still keep rising on the third step. And at the end of the third step, you then lower, ready to move on into something else. And we call that gradual rise, because you're rising gradually over a number of steps, hitting your peak, and then you come down. And if we go back to the waveform that I talked about at the beginning, that's like you go up, and then you come down. So you go straight up for 1, 2, 3. And at the end of the third step or the third beat, you're going to drop. Not like a stone though, don't collapse. We'll come to lowering in a second. So that's a bit of gradual rise. That's normally what we use in waltz through basic figures. There are a couple of occasions where we use what we call a quick rise action, where you feel like you rise on the spot. And that would be typical in a reverse corte that I showed you a moment ago for a man, where you would go back, does a heel turn, and then just rises on the spot, because we can't gradually rise there over 3 steps, because we're going backwards here. I'm down at this point, and then my rise happens very late. So we can't call that gradual, because you're not gradually rising, you're rising pretty much on 1 step, straight up. So we'd call that a quick rise action. Ladies, when they dance backwards, of course, all men dancing backwards. So for instance, if we take the natural turn as an example, I'll dance it as a lady. It's the same for the man though on the second half of the turn. You've still got to feel like you're rising in the same way as the person in front of you. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Because when the person in front of you is going up on their toe, the person going backwards cannot, of course. If you think of number 1, step number 1 in a natural turn, if you're dancing, or step number 4 if you're moving, if you're on the other roll. So if you're a lady moving back on step 1, your footwork, as you would have found out in episode 2 of Learning 30, your footwork's toe heel. So you're lowered here. But the man's footwork, or the person coming forwards footwork at this point, is heel toe. Because on the second step, you're going to be on your toes, so you need to be up here, you see. This is where it gets a little bit complicated. Now, when you're moving backwards through these base actions, you have something called no foot rise. So you're rising up, but you've got no foot rise, and that means your heel is down. Now, no foot rise means that your body is stretching up and you feel that your legs straighten to make your body rise. So you have no foot rise, but you have what we call body rise. Because, as I said, if when you're going forwards here, you're going straight up onto your toes. So there, so this is, you're both going to be on your toes at this point on the second step. If you're going backwards, at this point here, you're down. At the end of this step, your partner is on their toe. You're not, you're on a flat foot. So you have to ensure that you've picked up and stretched up your body so that when you get to this point, you're both in harmony. Otherwise, it'd be like pulling someone out of the ground. You don't want to do that. It's not a good idea at all. So it gets a little bit complicated when you're moving backwards because your person going forwards is on their toe and you're not. So it's a bit complicated, a bit tricky. So you have to find a nice balance between you so that the person moving backwards keeps their body lifted and stretched at all times and allows their body to be lifted up by the straightening of their legs. There'll be another example of this as well when we talk about the foxtrot in a moment too. Now, lowering action is important, as equally as important, of course, as a rise action. So when you lower, you must always lower with control. So there's never a time when you would just collapse and allow your heels to dollop down onto the floor. This is still in waltz for a second at the moment. The reason I say about the dolloping down is when you've worked really hard to get nice and high up on your toes in a bit of waltz, the last thing you want to do is then spoil all that beautiful work by just collapsing down into both heels. Here's another thing as well to bear in mind. Now, once you have risen, there is no time when you would then lower both heels. So if you're dancing in the waltz and you close your feet, the heel of the closing foot is the one that will lower because you're now going to move off onto your next foot. So a lowering action in the feet is only going to be in one foot. The other foot will remain, the heel of that other foot will still remain off the floor because you're going to use that one next. And that's the same whether you're moving forward or backwards. So if I do a forward action, if I do a little bit of a close change, so I've got 1, 2, 3. So I've lowered my right heel because that was the closing foot. So I've produced my lowering action. I'm now ready to move forward on my left foot because that heel didn't lower. And it's the same thing moving backwards if I do the same sort of close change action moving backwards. So I go back, I place the foot to the side, I go up on my toes and I lower the closing foot. So I've only lowered the closing foot and the left heel now is ready to move backwards into whatever it is I choose to do next. That is really, really important, especially in the waltz and sometimes in the quick step. The reason that it's super important in the waltz is because basic actions in the waltz typically close feet. So there are a few things, of course, when you're doing basic steps in waltz where you don't close your feet. But when you close your feet, it's very easy, whether you're dancing forward or backwards, to just close your feet and lower both heels. And now that means that you can really go forward on either foot. And that's not what it's about. You shouldn't be able to do that. When you close your feet, you should only lower the closing foot because then it means you're ready to move off on the next foot. The only two occasions where you use the same foot again is when you have any kind of brushing action or a tapping action. Typically as well, prior to that, you haven't produced any rise or fall anyway, so you are flat. A great example of that would be a hesitation change in the waltz, or what we just colloquially call a hesitation. Now, if you've danced that as a man, you would have done the first 3 steps where you finish with your feet together, you've lowered, you're standing on your right foot. You're then going to do what's called a heel pull on your left foot like this and your right foot. So you're flat at this point. I haven't gone up and I haven't gone down. I've stayed flat. So it means that as this leg brushes in, there's no transfer of weight. I'm going to use this one next because I haven't produced a lowering or a closing action. As a lady, when they come forwards here, they're going to do forward to the side like so, and then they brush their right foot in. So they've brushed it in, ready to then move backwards. So if you've got a closing action, so if you actually close your feet and transfer weight, you will have to lower only one heel. You must never lower both heels. Very important, because this is one of the reasons that many people do the wrong steps or get confused with which foot to use next in the waltz, especially because they lower both heels at the same time. So when you'll see this often when people first learn, they do a bit of basic waltz, they'll do 1, 2, 3, and they'll go off on the same one again because they lower both heels, and they go off again on that one again. So that's, we want to avoid that, of course. Now, lowering is not bending the knees. Lowering simply is when you've been up on your toes, you then come back down to earth. So that's all that lowering is. Personally, when you get this sort of thing, I call that division. That's dividing my weight and opening my legs and relaxing my joints. I don't call that lowering action as such in the context of footwork and what my feet are doing. So it is a lowering of sorts, but it's not the same as rise and fall. So rise and fall is just purely measured in the feet, and as I previously described, in the body too, on those no foot rise actions. But when you dance powerfully, you divide your feet like so, and your weight moves, and it makes you go lower. It makes you be lower as a couple, as an individual dancer. So you could argue that it is lowering of a sorts, but it isn't the same as rise and fall. All right? So that's purely when you want to become powerful. But the footwork actions and the way in which we rise and fall is going to be exactly the same through the feet. The only thing that's different is that you might give it a bit more welly. Okay? So when you see people doing all of this sort of thing and moving very powerfully, that is not rise and fall. That's something a little bit different. So you don't need to bend your knees to produce rise and fall. Okay? Knees are always soft in ballroom anyway. Your knees are ready to be used. As I think I said in another previous lecture, no one should dance like this with their legs permanently locked together. You've got a softness in your joints, always got a softness, ready to use them. And of course, as we move, our joints will soften and we'll flex and we'll move. But when you use your feet for rise and fall purposes, that's always going to be the same. How you've got there might be slightly different. So I might move slightly different to someone else, but I might be more powerful. But the way in which I use my feet is exactly the same. There's no difference at all. So if we look at Foxtrot now, just briefly. So Foxtrot has a very different visual look than Waltz. So if we played some dancing without any music, choreographically, of course, elements of styling should be clear from the outset. Speed-wise, it's not necessarily a great deal different to Waltz sometimes in some of the figures, but you should distinctly see the difference in the action and the way in which people move. Now, the rise and fall plays a big part in that, and then it changes the style and the depiction of the dance. Now, in the Waltz, I talked about a high peak and then a low drop as well. Now, in the Foxtrot, we don't have that. So in the Foxtrot, we've got a smoother lilting action where I don't really want to see too much peaking and too much rise through the feet. Or the lowering, as I said to you before, is just literally coming down onto your heels. Depth or division, as I talked about before, that's a different thing altogether. That's about power and using the standing leg and moving away. A topic for another 30-minute lecture, I think. But anyway, so in terms of the rise, I always want to feel that it's a bit more shallow than I would have in the Waltz. One of the reasons this is the case is because in the Foxtrot we have very few closing actions like we do in the Waltz. So as I said, in the Waltz we have the gradual rise. We're rising over a period of steps as we're closing our feet. We don't really have that in Foxtrot because Foxtrot is what's historically known as the walking dance. So if you're walking and just constantly moving and passing your legs, the rise action is going to be different. So the idea of that in Foxtrot, I have the same method to produce any kind of rise in that my body weight will fly past my feet to lift my heels off the floor. Now the difference here is that my free leg, the leg behind me here, is going to swing into position earlier than if I was doing the Waltz. One of the reasons that is choreographical, because I'm going to do a feather step here where I just dance forwards as a man. So my leg's going to swing into position to catch my body before it's too late, I suppose. Now in the waltz, my body weight would go past my foot, then I'd produce turn and sway like so, ready to do my lovely gradual rise. Now in the foxtrot, I'm moving forwards. So I'm going to let my body weight go past my heel, it lifts it off the floor, but then my other leg swings into position to catch my body weight. And now I'm pretty much centrally positioned, but I'm on my toes. But if you notice, if you look at the position of my head, it hasn't really changed. So if you look at where my head is now, as I do this, if I move back a touch, I've got a bit more space. So as I do this, I'm not trying to move, I'm not trying to go up. However, if I move sideways now, I am on my toes, very much on my toes. So I've produced the correct amount of rise. If I was doing something similar in waltz, I'd be deeper to start with probably, and then I'd have a greater lift up through my feet. That strong 2 action in waltz that we always hear about. 1, 2, 3. That's like an explosion of energy up onto the toes so I can close my feet. Something, an aside here is that sometimes we use rise as a counterbalance. So to stop movement, we throw our weight upwards. It acts like a brake. Now in waltz, of course, you want to close your feet. So coupled with other factors like turn and sway, which we've covered a bit of sway, of course, I can use the strong rise action to stop my movement. So if I have a strong 2, 3 there, like that, on the 2 count as I'm closing my feet, it stops me from it stops me from moving too much. Now, if I didn't have that, and I approached it a bit like a foxtrot, which is a bit more of a languid, smooth, lazy, oily type action, then it wouldn't have the same effect and it would look different and I wouldn't be able to control it so well. So when I'm doing the feather step in the foxtrot, I'm allowing my legs to move out into position earlier so that I don't want to affect my body too much. I don't want to look jerky. Of course, I don't want to look jerky in the waltz either, but there's very much a thrust in the waltz to produce that very strong, powerful 2 on the rise action. Now, moving backwards in a foxtrot, you've got lots and lots and lots, if you're dancing as lady, of these no foot rise actions. So what that means, of course, is that it's imperative that you have this beautiful stretching through the body and the straightening of the legs. Now, as the man, I think we've covered this before a little bit, but in the footworks video, but the man is going to be on his toes on the feather step on steps 2 and 3. The lady's not, she's on toe, heel, toe, heel. So again, that's very difficult, isn't it? How can you produce rise as a lady moving backwards when your man's on 2 toes? Well, so what's important here is the man doesn't rise too much. So if you notice, I talked about it before with the head, my head isn't going up. So I'm not trying to rise up vertically or just statically. My leg's gone into position, I'm on 2 toes still, but I haven't actually physically gone up. And that will help the lady to do her thing. So you've got your toe heel and then you've got another toe heel coming up here. But as you're doing this step, the first step of the feather step, you're going to be on 2 straight legs and a beautifully stretched body because the man's up on his toes. But it's so important that the man doesn't go through here and then pop straight up. We don't want to pop up. No popping up in front of your lady because it's not helpful at all, especially when she's doing her toe heels here, like that. And so you'll be here stood beautifully, 2 straight legs and looking all fabulous. Now, it's important as well, ladies, if the man does pop up in front of you, that you don't feel the urge to follow him, you see, because it's quite often the case that ladies will do their feather steps on their toes like that, you see. Generally speaking, because the man has risen up too much. So the rise action, he's done too much. So we want to feel that our rise is stretched across the feather step, gents, not done solely on 1 foot and we pop up in the air. So the rise is much more gradual over that period. So not a gradual rise, but visually it looks more gradual and soft rather than strong. Perhaps they've got these wordings wrong, you see, in the technique, but gradual rise. The idea of gradual rise means that it's quite gradual and then it's quite soft. When in actual fact, if you visualize it, it's quite strong and then it drops down. Anyway, I'm not rewriting the technique book. These are my thoughts and my thoughts alone. So yes, that's the idea. So you want to stretch out that rise, you don't pop up into the air because you've got to consider what your lady's doing when she's moving backwards. And that'll be the same across any backward figures, consecutive backward steps for the lady. She's always got toe heel, toe, toe, heel. The man will often have a combination of heels and toes, so he'll rise through the feet, whereas she will not. So she'll have body rise and no foot rise. No foot rise, but body rise. So she's going to feel it through her body by the straightening of her legs. That's what creates body rise. So a little bit about quick step. Now, quick step is essentially the same as waltz, because a lot of the basic action we'd have in waltz, so a lot of the figures are the same in the quick step. We still have chassis, we have lock steps, we have natural turns, we have closing actions. Very, very similar. The difference, of course, is the speed. When things are faster, you haven't got as much time, of course. Now, unless you've got super duper strong thighs and super duper strong feet, you're not going to be able to produce the same level of depth as you would in a waltz, and the height as you would in a quick step. But really you wouldn't want to anyway, because quick step needs to visually look different. Quick step is a different dance. It needs to have its own character. Waltz is synonymous with deep swings and high peaks. Whereas quick step is not so much. Quick step is more about the movement across the floor. And in doing so, your rise actions are not going to be quite the same, but the process is still the same. We still approach it in the same way. However, when we do a closing action in base actions in the waltz, for instance, a natural spin turn or any kind of natural turn, when you close, you feel that there's like a skip as you close your feet. It isn't a skip though, and the idea isn't to be jumping up and down, but this is a quicker rise action and it feels a bit clipped. But the footwork is still the same. We still allow our body weights to escape outside of our base of support, to pick the heels up off the floor. And as we close, we close our feet a little bit quicker and a bit sharper to depict the dance that we're doing. Footwork is still exactly the same. Moving backwards for the ladies is going to be the same too. You've still got your no foot rise on that first step. So you've got a strong stretch up through your body and a straightening of the legs as you close. But again, it's the same process as the waltz, just much faster. The chassés and locks that we have in quick step, again, we approach them in the same way as we would in the waltz. You've got 4 steps and you've got 6 beats to do them actually. So sometimes these sort of basic actions like a chassé and a lock step in the quick step almost feel slower than they would in a waltz, because you've got, as I say, 6 beats of slow, quick, quick, slow in a quick step, and in a waltz just 1, 2 and 3. So it probably feels a bit faster in waltz. So you've got more time in the quick step to show this lovely rise action. But again, you don't want them to go up too high anyway, because you're traveling and you're moving. So it's a little bit like foxtrot in that respect. So you wouldn't want to produce, if I just did a chassé, we want to produce a strong popping up action again through there, because it's not closing and then changing direction like a natural turn action, like the 1, 2, 3 of a natural turn. So this is still moving to the left. So I feel very soft, very languid on those sort of base actions in quick step. But I'm still using my feet in exactly the same way as I would in a waltz. And again, this is just the feet. This is just rise and fall through the feet. So I'm going up through my toes, closing my feet, and then I'm lowering again back down to earth. This, of course, is division. It is not the fall of rise and fall. That is a lowering action that we then use through division and power. I'll talk about that another time. Now, finally, just to finish off, a little bit about Viennese waltz. Now, Viennese waltz is an oddity. It's not the same. However, the basic figures that we use in Viennese waltz are very much linked to waltz, of course. There's a lot more rotation, there's a lot more power, and it's twice the speed of waltz. Waltz is 30 bars a minute, Viennese waltz is 60. So it's a lot faster, twice as fast. So you haven't got a lot of time to do what you've got to do. So really, you've got less time to think about things, so you don't want to have to be too complicated. So in the waltz, we talked about it, we're going deep and we're going high. We don't want to do that in the Viennese waltz. We really just want to travel across the floor. So this is why this one's a little bit peculiar. The way we use our feet is the same. Again, we still allow our body weight to escape outside of our base of support, releases the heels. However, when we step to the side, I'm keeping a bent knee with my left foot here. My heel stays off the floor as I drag my right leg in. Same thing when I move backwards. I swing the leg to the side, knee stays soft, and I drag my foot in flat. So that's heel, toe, toe, flat foot. I mean, in a technical sense, that would be toe, heel, but because of the speed, you don't need to do, you don't want to produce any rise. When people learn the Viennese waltz, they do try and apply the same principles as normal waltz, but at twice the speed, and it doesn't work because you haven't got the time to go up and down like that, it becomes very laborious and very laboured and very difficult. So the idea is to keep it as flat as possible while still using the feet in the correct way. The only thing I suppose which would be different is that as you close your feet, you're going to close it on the inside of that foot rather than up on the toes. You haven't got time to do this. In the reverse actions in Viennese waltz, it's exactly the same. So again, we have heel leads when we move forwards. The second step is going to be on a toe. There's my rise, but I haven't physically gone up. And I slide the foot in front, move backwards, step to the side, slide the foot to close. There is no time to go up, but the rise is still there. It's just not applied in the same way as it would be in the other dances. Viennese waltz is a tricky one though, so it's certainly something to persevere with. It can be quite a lot of fun as well, but it is a difficult dance because of the speed, not because of the steps. The steps are not difficult, but it's just the speed at which you have to do those steps around the floor. And there's the thing about getting dizzy too. But again, that's something else we can talk about in another little workshop perhaps. So there we go, there's a little bit about rise and fall. Rise and fall, just to reiterate, is just measured in the feet or the legs and body if you're talking about no foot rise, which is when we dance backwards, predominantly for ladies in foxtrot. So it's just in the feet. So you push down into the floor to lift your heels off, and then as you come down, you just absorb your weight through your heels. A good little thing, just a little final thought here to remember for the lowering actions. Something I often try to think about and to help people to think about. When you lower your heels, or the heel of the closing foot, because you only lower one, you want to imagine that there's a rubber ball under your heel which is resisting the lowering action to give you an element of control. But eventually you get there. It's like you're squashing it under your heel. Because there has to be an element of resistance. Because if there's no resistance, you just collapse through, and then that's no good to anybody. And it feels quite jarring and doesn't look very good either. We also have, as I say, the rise through the legs and the body, which is no foot rise. And I said that's predominantly when ladies move backwards. Men do have it as well, typically on the first step of any turn when they move backwards. Generally speaking though, we don't have it very often. It's more often than not the ladies that have it predominantly, as I say, in the foxtrot. So take that away with you, have a little think about it, see if it's useful. Hopefully it is. And don't get misunderstood. Lowering action is different to rise and fall. So a lowering action is not the same as rise and fall. Rise and fall is just in the feet, and it couples up nicely with what your footwork is for a given step. So hopefully that was useful for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.
Hello, evening again. We're back. Well, I'm back, but I'm on my own because James is finishing off some dinner. Took him a little bit longer. So, Margaret, excellent doing. Thank you, Margaret. He is alright, isn't he? He is good at it. I don't like being on my own. This feels a bit strange. It really does. So you'll have to tell me. I hope you all enjoyed that little lecture on rise and fall. Obviously, it's a good one to follow on with. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. It's a good one to follow on with the footwork because the two do go hand in hand. So, you know, they kind of go along with each other, really, don't they? Can't have one without the other. There you go. But I think it's important to understand both in their own entity. Oh, well, Brecon Beacons will clarify that later. Okay. Roske, where's Buddy and Ella? They're downstairs. Buddy's just had his dinner. Ella's about to have her dinner. And, yeah, at the moment we're trying to get Buddy to go to the toilet. Yeah, so that's, yeah. That's a hard one, isn't it? That's bane of my life at the moment. I'd say sometimes it's really good. Yeah. Any questions with regards to what he's talked about? I didn't hear it all, but I did hear a lot of it. So if you've got any questions about that, or if you've got any questions about what you want him to cover next week. As in, like, he'll record it tomorrow. So, yeah. Let us know. I think he's coming. I can hear someone coming. Oh! It's not James, it's Buddy and Ella. You learn a lot from the tutorials. Yeah, I can appreciate that, because I said to James when he was doing the first one, I said, this is really, really, like, priceless. You know, it's years of learning plus years of experience teaching as well. So some things, you know, you learn really quickly early on, and then some things you learn along the way. The waves, yes. We use that all the time, actually, talking about the waves with Rise and Fall with each dance, because each dance is very different and it's important to understand. You know, it's an easy way to differentiate them, isn't it? Do you want to bring him over here? Come and say hello.
In Daddy's chair.
You can sit in Daddy's chair. A picture tells 1,000 words. Exactly. You know, it doesn't always have to be complicated. And I personally think a lot of things about dancing are very simple, but putting it into the physical practice is the hard part. A teacher told me to rise using the ankles and waltz. Do you agree? I don't really know what that would mean. I mean, I think any action you can think about coming from a certain area in the body can have a positive or a negative effect on someone. So for instance, if we're talking about sway, and James touched on broken sway, for instance, if I think of a negative side, then I might collapse rather than thinking about the positive side. So for someone who collapses, I might not say drop the right side, I might say elevate your left side, and it gets a different result. Yeah. So with Rise and Fall with your feet, if you want to, lots of people can go on their toes. I mean, to be honest, I find it very difficult to not use your ankles if you're going up. But I always think that whatever you're doing, I just think about pushing into the floor. If I push into the floor, I must go up, and my body will react. So I wouldn't necessarily agree or disagree with that. I just would just say that rise comes from compression into the floor. So pushing down makes you go up, and if you just go up effectively, you'll be jumping almost, or lifting yourself out of the floor, which actually we don't want to do. So even though we're rising, we're still putting weight into the floor to be able to do that. That's the only way you'll be able to do it with control. So whenever we do something, even when we do quick step and we have that little bit of elevation, it still comes from pushing to go up. So you push the balls of your feet into the floor, and that causes you to bounce a little bit. I can't see how, if you just lift yourself, that's very difficult. So maybe that's what they were talking about. Maybe that's what they were trying to get across by using your ankles. By sort of lifting your ankles, you're then pushing into the balls of your feet more. You know, there's different techniques for getting the same result. And, you know, you can tell someone to think of water to get the desired effect. You can tell someone to think of air to get the same desired effect. It really, really depends.
That sounds like you were going to say Ella.
Ella. I'm always saying Ella. Aren't I? Ella, don't do that. Ella. Be quiet. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
Saying Ella, stop, Ella, please be quiet does not make sense. It doesn't not.
Well, I do say that a lot, don't I? I do. I do. Or I say, buddy, go for a poo.
He never does it on the mat. Why are you
Pushing into
my
the floor makes
face?
sense. Yes. I think it does. I mean, if you push into the
gonna
floor, you
go
have to
now.
go up, so it's a bit of a reaction, isn't
I'm
it?
going to go now.
Okay, you can go now. Daddy's coming back now.
Bye, everyone.
He's back.
I'm back.
He's a bit flustered.
Yeah, it just took a bit longer to do the dinner than I expected. Put it back in the
I've
kitchen.
got him
please,
trained really well. He's been cooking every night.
Ella. I just want to quickly mention about the ankles.
Yes.
When you push into the floor and you release your heels, you have no choice but to use your ankles.
Yes, that's
So
effectively what I said.
Well, it's not kind of the same thing.
Isn't that basically what I said? But I said it a bit
Differently.
more drawn out.
So yeah, you do use your ankles, but you've got no choice but to use your ankles, because if you don't use your ankles, you can't lift your heels off the floor. Because I think I mentioned it in the lecture about using all your joints. No, I said that a week before, I think.
All your joints must be in use, so that goes
Yeah.
from your hips.
Yeah.
So your hip joints, your knee joints, your ankle joint, your ball joint, they all need to be used in ballroom for sure.
Yes.
They're all available to use, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you're lowering, obviously you're using more hip, but you're using the others as a reactionary thing anyway. So some things you don't need to think about so much because your body is going to react.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you think about the wrong body part, it causes you to do something that you don't need to do, such as like double lowering. So a big question that we often get
double
is,
lowering is... Yeah, you can explain the double lowering?
Yeah, you can go on with that.
Well, so we often talk about double lowering. Now, what that means is, following on from the video I just talked about, so rise and fall is only in the feet. So you go up on your toes, or you lower down, and your heel touches the floor.
And that's it. You're lowered.
That's
then.
lowered. So a double lowering is that before your heel touches the floor, you bend your knees, or your knees are compressing too much, and that causes you to go down through the legs, and then you go down through the feet as well, which causes a double lowering, and then you jump or fall down in front of your body.
A jolted action.
Yes, that's a no-no. I'm
Yeah,
going to do leg action tomorrow.
Yeah, so we don't really talk about lowering in a sense through the knees, actually, do we? We don't tell people to bend their knees as such, even though some people might refer to that to encourage some lowering, especially to begin with, but ultimately that's not something you need to put a lot of effort into, is it? Because if you just relax the leg joints, you will go down. Something to bear in mind, gravity works. It really does.
And also, I think, again, I said it in the video, that you can't move. Well, if you can't walk, if your legs are fixed and you've got no knee joints, you won't actually be able to dance, unfortunately, because no one comes into us to learn to dance with their legs fixed straight. Everyone naturally bends their knees. When they come to the studio in Fareham, they have to walk up some stairs, and to get up the stairs you've got to bend your knees, but you don't think how much you're going to bend your knees. And likewise, when you go downstairs, you don't think, I must bend my knees X amount.
That's because it's a learned habit, and dancing is very much like that. It's a learned habit, so you don't have to force it. You just need to relax your weight into the movement, and you'll bend as much as you need to.
Yeah, and the bending of the knees, or the amount you bend your knees, the amount you bend your ankles, the amount you use your hips, it's all relative to the amount of movement you want to produce. And what it does, it absorbs weight and allows you to be powerful.
So when I have to dance with James, my joints will bend a lot more than, say, if I dance with a beginner, because obviously beginners still learning and they're trying to find,
and I'm giving it some,
their depth. But when I dance with James, there's a lot more required in my joints, because not because he bends more, but because he releases his weight more. Hopefully that makes sense.
I hope so.
It's a bit like if you've got a bowling ball and chucking it, it will go a long way, as opposed to a feather. It's not going to go very far.
Sigrid's having a go at me now.
Is she?
Yeah,
Why?
she's having a go at me. She says that James keeps trying to get me higher on my toes. It is easier when stretching at home than when I'm trying to dance. Yet statically, when you're stationary and not moving, these things are easier. When you're doing it in motion, it's much harder.
Yeah.
It's much harder. So static rise is easier.
So you're talking about like if you stand on the spot
rise.
and you do like
that's
raises, yeah, that's
but you
easier.
you have to do that. You've got to strengthen your ankles and your feet and prepare them to have that kind of rise as you're moving. But it isn't easy. And I'll always, in a lesson, generally, if you have a lesson with me, I'm always going to get you to try and do more than you think is necessary, because that's the only way you're going to learn to develop yourself and to get more out of yourself. Because I don't teach anyone, no one.
I'm going to go check what's
You
going on downstairs.
I don't teach anyone that does too much. Really, no one does enough. Really, so you've always got to encourage more. What's Sauvignon Blanc got to do with anything? What's that got to do with rise and fall, Alan? I don't quite get it. I found, if you're referring to what's in my glass, I found a voucher that someone had bought us bought me for Christmas actually, and our wine shop. It was for our specific wine shop at the top of the road, and they opened today. They've been closed since the start of this lockdown. They opened today, and so I went up there and used the voucher. That's why we're having a drink tonight. But we haven't had a drink all week. We're off the alcohol because, one, it's good to not drink, and two, it saves a lot of money. So that's why we're not drinking, which I think is a good thing. So I think tomorrow what I'm going to do is leg action. So the way in which you use your legs in ballroom and in Latin. So the way we use our legs in Latin is going to be different to how we would use them in ballroom. I'll try and cover every single dance. That's 10 dances. Get off. That's 10 dances in 30 minutes or so. That's 3 minutes of dance. I'll try my best. Rumba and Cha-Cha are very similar, so I might
What are you going to talk about?
skip a bit of time there. I'm going to talk about leg action tomorrow.
Leg action.
The way we use our legs. Mm-hmm. There's a generalisation with that across the ballroom and a bit across the Latin, Cha-Cha and Rumba for sure. Yeah, I'll do leg action tomorrow, and then hopefully that'll give you time to prepare for some makeup, and you can do the one next week. That'd be nice. That'd make a change.
No, not instead of this.
Oh, it's an additional one.
I don't know.
Okay, we can do an additional one.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
All right, we'll do an additional
But
one.
I don't know how quickly I can get that out because I haven't tested it out yet. So.
Okay. Do you need a model? Use Ella.
No, Ella's not old enough.
It'd be funny though.
No, she's not old enough.
But,
I'll
no,
do
but
it
you
on
can do
myself.
social dancing makeup on Ella, can't you?
No,
No?
because her face is completely
But
different.
she'd love it. She would love it.
Yeah, I'd happily do something on Ella, but not for these guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, I think we're probably done for the evening now, aren't we? I don't know if there's anything else that we want to talk about.
I don't know.
Someone has suggested warm-up exercises for rise, fall, strength, etc. So we kind of covered those with the lockdown workout, didn't we? The things that you can use to strengthen yourself. So I can do that as well. We do another little video on that.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Well, you could do a total body one. Can't
Total body workout.
we? Yeah.
Sounds
Because
good, doesn't it?
the lockdown one was very much focused on core, wasn't it?
Well,
core and legs, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah.
and arms.
Not necessarily on
I had my arms
No,
out.
what I'm thinking about, not necessarily on feet.
Right. Okay. Well, true. Yes, true. Yeah. Well, I think the best thing for the feet is you need an element of jeopardy with it. Jeopardy. You need an element of jeopardy. So if you live in a house that's got an upstairs, just stand at the top of the stairs, and without any shoes on the edge of the top step. Don't hold on, and then lower your heels down below the top step, and then lift them up onto the tip of your toes, but keeping your body weight forwards. Element of jeopardy. See. So if you get it wrong, you're going to fall down the stairs. I keep telling Sigrid to do this, but she keeps doing it on the bottom
I don't think
step.
it's necessary to risk falling down the stairs, but you can stand on the edge of a step and do calf raises, and that's going to do good for your feet.
Yes.
When I was little, our teacher used to make us do them every technical lesson that we had. And we'd have to stand outside and do them 100 of them. I used to burn
100.
100.
Is that all?
Yeah, well, we're kids.
Do you know what I used to do?
Little ones.
I used to just go to comps and win.
Oh, this is good comps. and win. We didn't have that many comps in good old Townsville.
Oh dear. Okay. Yes. Okay. We'll do leg action tomorrow. I think I've got enough to say on that. Every time I do this, I think, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know how I'm going to fill 30 minutes, and then every time it goes on longer than 30 minutes, and I end up waffling. So I hope these little lectures aren't too much waffle, and they are useful. I hope. Don't you, Cal?
I think you'll find that it's fine.
Good. All right. Okay. So if there's any more questions, we'll
love you and leave you.
love you and leave you. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer some questions. Kelly can leave if she needs to go and sort stuff out and get the plates ready for dinner, and I'll happily talk for a bit longer.
Stuffed his head in my
He has, hasn't
elbow.
he?
Yeah.
Alan keeps asking questions. Basically, his questions I've already answered in other
Oh,
things.
from other weeks.
So his question is, how about routines for small spaces? If you tune in on a Wednesday, you'll see me do routines.
You're going to be in so much trouble.
He is in so much trouble. He is in so much trouble. Yeah, he's too busy trying to find out where to park his cars. That's what the problem is. If you watch our Wednesday class, I do a routine that literally fits in my dining room. My dining room, I almost can touch both walls when I put my arms out. Almost. If I was if I was a bit taller, I probably could.
We perhaps should have got a bigger house.
We probably should have got one.
In light of
Yeah.
the situation.
So yes, there's routines in there. So there you go. So you can check that, and that's all on YouTube. It's there as a recap. You can have a look at those routines. So far, I've done a rumba, jive, and a waltz. Next week will be waltz again, and then I'm going to do another ballroom dance. I haven't thought about it yet, which one it will be. So there we go, Alan. I've done that. And Sigrid, I know you live in a bungalow. It's about time you moved into a house, a proper house, with 2 floors.
She just moved.
Yeah, I know. She needs to move into a proper house with 2 floors. She needs some stairs.
You
She
just
needs
need
to go up and down
You just
stairs.
need a step.
No, I want Sigrid to stand at the top of 10 concrete steps.
No, she does
without
not.
any railings.
I'm sorry. He's terrible. He's horrible. He does it to most people.
I know. Yeah, Eileen Hawkins.
It's even worse
well.
to me.
Eileen Hawkins is headless every time on a Wednesday. She stands there, no head,
Oh, really? What? 'Cause
Yeah.
the camera
every time.
cuts her off.
Every time, yeah. Okay, good stuff. So, thank you very much, everyone. I hope it's been useful. It's good night from me.
It's good night from him.
And if you're able to, please tune in on Wednesday to see us. Thank you all for your support. It's been really appreciated, and we'll continue to do this as long as we are able to do this. And whilst we are still locked in, we will keep doing it. I think that's it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll work on some stuff this week, and I've got other irons in the fire. I keep meaning to do it. I need to do it. I need to knuckle down and do it. Another recording, something a nice one. I like the idea of it. It's great. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you haven't
no
told me
one,
that one.
no one knows what I'm talking about. So that's it, really. So see you on Wednesday. The video of tonight will be online in a second. So if you want to have a recap of the Rise and Fall lecture, it will be online, ready to go in about 2 minutes. So thank you very much, everyone. See you soon. See you Wednesday. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care. Have a good
Stay
weekend.
safe and stay sane.
See you later.
Bye.